I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to Ozark City Hall. We're glad you're here for the Board of Aldermen meeting and engaging with your elected officials. Listening to perspectives of city residents, business owners, and other community members helps our elected leaders make more informed decisions. Before the meeting begins, let's review our rules of order. These ensure the meeting is orderly and efficient while allowing everyone who would like to speak an opportunity to do so. There are two opportunities for you to speak: during the agenda's scheduled visitor and guest portion of the meeting and during public discussion of new bills and resolutions. During the agenda's scheduled visitor and guest portion, anyone who signed up at the city clerk's office before 5 p.m. the Wednesday before the meeting can speak to aldermen about the topic they specified. Now, in the public discussion of new bills and resolutions, that allows you to give comments for aldermen to consider before they make a decision. Anytime anyone is speaking, the following rules apply. First, only one person should speak at a time. Please be respectful of the person speaking and hold your comments until it's your turn. Second, anyone speaking must do so from the podium and speak into the microphone. Third, you must first provide your name and address in writing to the city clerk before beginning your comments. These forms are provided near the entrance. You also must state your name and address to the Board of Aldermen using the podium microphone. Fourth, all comments should be addressed to the mayor and aldermen. Finally, all speakers have 5 minutes. A digital timer will show you the countdown. The light will change from green to flashing yellow when 2 minutes are left. It will stay yellow at the 1 minute mark. Your comment time is up when the light turns red. The mayor or alderman may have additional questions for speakers after this time limit. Occasionally, the board will invite someone to make a presentation at the meeting. This is only to give information to the board about a specific topic. These presenters will have no time limit on giving their information. This meeting will be live streamed and recorded with video and audio unless there are technical difficulties. The use of cell phones or other devices is discouraged during the meeting. Please silence your phones right now. Again, thank you for being here and engaging with the City of Ozark. The meeting will begin shortly.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Alderman Aiken.
Here.
Alderman Campbell is absent. Alderman Galloway.
Here.
Alderman Hutchinson.
Here.
Alderman Metcalf.
Here.
Alderman Snyder.
Here.
We have 5 aldermen present. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. We have 2 sets of minutes we're going to look at this point in time. The first one is from May 15th. Any questions about the 15th minutes? Corrections or anything? Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the minutes of May 15th, non-legislative session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we approve as printed the May 15th, 25 minutes. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Hutchinson. All in favor of voting on the minutes to approve May 15th, do so by show of hands. And that.
I was not present that
Okay.
day. I abstained.
So it does carry with Alderman Snyder abstaining. Okay. Now we'll move to the May 19th, to our regular session minutes. Any questions regarding this set? I'm not seeing any. Is there a motion to approve as printed?
Motion to approve is printed.
Okay, seconded by Alderman Snyder. Okay. Okay. The motion is that we approve as printed the May 19th regular session minutes. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken. It was seconded by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of this motion to approve the May 19th minutes, do so by show of hands. And, okay.
Yeah, 22nd.
Okay, so we have 3 that approve the minutes and we have 2 that are abstaining. Is there a question?
No, I was just going to clarify, it was the May 22nd minutes.
Oh, which one did I say the wrong date? It's May 9th. May, okay, I'm sorry. So the correct date is May Okay, I apologize for that. I put the wrong date on my agenda, so it's May 22nd. Do we need to go back and re-vote on this since I said the wrong date?
I don't think you need to, but it did fail because you only had 3. that
Yes,
voted.
right.
Mhm.
So, okay. If not, then we'll, as item number 6, there's no ceremonial matter tonight. There's no scheduled guests or visitors. So therefore, we'll go to our first readings of bills tonight. The first bill is bill number 3669.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we place Bill 3669 on first reading by title only, please.
Just second that.
Okay. The motion is that we place bill number 3669 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken. It was seconded by Alderman Metcalf. All in favor of voting on this motion to discuss bill 3669, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into a contract with the Southwest Missouri Joint Municipal Water Utility Commission regarding reallocated water storage space in Stockton Lake.
Okay. At this time, we'll welcome our Public Work Director, Jeremy Parson.
And I'll be brief. I know that we've talked about this for quite a while, but now it's time. We're there. It's time to make a decision. Most of you were involved in the non-legislative session, and that gave us a lot of time to talk about this. And we have been talking about this for a while. But I did ask Roddy to be here tonight. This is a complex bill. It was a difficult explanation sheet to draft because of the complexities of this and the timing. And I feel like Roddy's been a champion of this for over 20 years. He knows this project inside and out. I know that he's got our full support as staff, but it's an exciting time to be here, to be at this point to where we can potentially get this executed. So he's here if we have any questions regarding this, and he has a presentation if we need to pull that up.
Okay. So we'll welcome Rodney then to. Yeah, do we have any questions?
Yeah, I've got the original presentation that I gave you all, I think most of you.
Yeah.
And then I've got a 5-minute version. If you want the Cliff Notes version of that, I can do either one.
Okay. Do we wish for this version, or are we good? Because we did have the breakfast session on this. Okay. Okay. Everybody seems to be fine with it. So, thank you, sir. No questions, and they said they're fine with.
All right.
Okay.
Well, if you have any further, I'm
Okay.
available on the platform.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the thing I'm realizing with it is the decision we're talking about is not just for us, it's for our children and our grandchildren. So, but anyway, since this is the first reading, we're going to open this up to the public. Is anyone here who wishes to speak for bill number 3669? This is your time to come to the podium. Okay. I'm not seeing movement. Is anyone here who will speak against bill 3669? Okay. I've seen no movement, so I'm going to now close this to public discussion. And one final board, any questions from the board? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So therefore, bill number 3669 will be held over to a future meeting. We'll now draw attention to bill number 3670.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3670 on its first reading by title only.
Second.
Okay. The motion is to replace bill number 3670 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway. It was seconded by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss bill 3670, just by show of hands, please. And that does carry.
An ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, chapter 110, Mayor and Board of Aldermen, section 110-180, regarding the time of regular aldermanic meetings.
Okay. And my understanding is that Alderman Galloway is going to be speaking for this.
So as I mentioned in the, non-legislative session, this and a couple other ordinances came out of some discussions about how to have better meetings, more efficient meetings, and ones where we are not wearing out the public who are staying here waiting for their business to be heard till 10 or so on our longest nights. but still be able to handle things transparently. This first ordinance deals with time only. As you may see on the first page, the proposal is just simply to change the meeting time in the evenings from 7 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. As we discussed in the non-legislative session, that seems to be the time that other communities have selected, and some have selected earlier, but I think we were the outlier on late. I think what we had talked about by consensus, because we talked about different times, including 6 p.m., is that 6:30 would give people to come home, that's an opportunity to come home, have dinner, members of the public we're talking about, have dinner, come here on time for their meeting, and it starts 30 minutes early. And, you know, if it goes late, at least it'll be earlier in the evening when we release. And then hopefully the interested member of the public will have heard their business and able to get to bed at a comfortable hour. So that's what this ordinance handles. If there's any questions.
Oh, you know, that was okay. Any questions to Alderman Galloway about this particular bill? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Since this is first reading, I'm going to open up to the public. Is anyone here who wishes to speak for bill number 3670? This is your time. Okay, I'm not seeing movement. Is anyone here who speak against bill 3670? Okay, I'm now going to close this to the public and all. I forgot to ask, there's no Zoom. Okay. Any final board response? Yes, sir.
No, I definitely think it's a good idea, especially for the public at large. They exhaust their evenings to come here, and sometimes we don't get out or get finished until, later in the evening. And I think it's going to be to their advantage to be able to attend these meetings and get home at a timely hour. So I definitely support this. I'm open about that now.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. There was a request this be expedited. Is that still? Okay.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3670 on its second reading by title only.
Is there a second to this?
I second that.
Okay. The motion is to place bill 3670 on second reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Metcalf. All in favor of voting the motion to discuss bill 3670, do so by show of hands. Okay, and that does carry.
An ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, Chapter 110, Mayor and Board of Aldermen, Section 110-180, regarding the time of regular aldermanic meetings.
Any additional comments?
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3670 as ordinance number 25-042.
Do we have a second to this?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we enact bill 3670 to become ordinance 25-042. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Snyder. Roll call, please.
Alderman Aiken.
Aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
Alderman Campbell is absent. Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson.
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes. Motion carries.
Okay. We'll now draw attention to bill number 3671.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3671 on its first reading by title only.
Second by.
Second.
The motion is that we place bill number 3671 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway. It was seconded by Alderman Aiken. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss bill 3671, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, Chapter 110, Mayor and Board of Aldermen, Section 110-215, regarding the order of business for aldermanic meetings and adopting a consent agenda.
Okay. And again, Alderman Galloway will do the discussion.
As we discussed in our non-legislative session, the point of this amendment was to address the quality of our meetings, to make sure that we were spending time and taking up staff's time on information that needed public discussion appropriately. This ordinance doesn't change the ability for items to be brought up for public discussion, but it does allow for a consent agenda as to certain bills. So a consent agenda operates as conceived in this ordinance under certain, for certain types of ordinances that really have to do with day-to-day business for the most part. So how this works is that something that we would ordinarily have to spend time on, such as accepting a donation, establishing a memorial, selling surplus property according to our ordinances, and certain types of expenditures, which I'll get into. These will be printed, they will be published on the website. We will be able to review the material prior to a meeting. So the public will see it, we will see it. And the difference is for those things that are just for run-of-the-mill business, and really not a good use of meeting time to hear, say, Jeremy Parsons' terrific exposition of a particular toilet's use for Public Works. That we can read it, the public can read it. If a member of the public says, no, I really want to hear this, it's off the consent agenda and the member of the public, as long as they notify the city, they can come in and speak to it. Similarly, if two aldermen vote to remove something from the consent agenda, then it would be removed as well. So it's just designed to keep the business going if there aren't any serious questions about things that are day to day. And then as to expenditures, certain contracts for budgeted and unbudgeted expenditures, I'm going to rely on the city attorney to explain that.
Yes, under our current code, which will be a topic of another bill, anything presently over 20,000 comes before the board. Some of these expenditures don't have a lot of background information that is overly impressive to provide to the board. And so it felt like it was appropriate after our discussion to include contracts for expenditures that are both budgeted and unbudgeted to be included on the consent agenda. Of course, if there's a need to talk about any of those contracts, they can always be removed from the consent agenda.
And the thing that to keep in mind as we move the amounts upward is that we have held it at 20,000 for the entire time that I have served continuously on the board, and it was that way 10 years ago. And it was there before. I don't know if our ordinances note for how long we've had it at that limit, but we have not kept up with the realities of increased expenses for vehicles or minimal construction type work. So that's the basis for that. I think the rest we've discussed earlier.
Okay. Any questions for Alderman Galloway from the board? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Since this is first reading, I'm going to now open this to the public. Anyone here who will speak for Bill number 3671? This is your time to come to the podium. Okay, I've seen no movement. Anyone here who speak against Bill 3671?
Jeannie McFall, 1324 East Warren Avenue. I just want clarification on the consent because we had fee increases last year. Would that be a consent item? What type of items are excluded from consent, and at what point will they be posted that they are consent items?
Yes, City Attorney?
The fee study is not presently one of the items listed as coming forward as a consent agenda item. The consent agenda would be posted with the regular agenda, and so that is typically posted at least 24 hours in advance. At this time, it's usually on Fridays before the Monday meeting, and anyone from the public can view it on our website.
So it will be posted that it's a consent item on the Friday agenda.
Yes, the agenda will be formatted as it's shown in the ordinance, and it actually lays out, just if we scroll down just a little bit, the order of the business, and keep going down just a little bit. It shows consent agenda, and all of the items will be listed there under 7B, and all of the bills will have their titles there.
Okay, so if you do want to bring something off of the consent agenda and actually have it be heard, then you will need to either make arrangements through Zoom
That we
or
will,
be here in person.
and we discussed that in the next bill, but to answer your question, there's two ways. Any member from the public can sign up with our city clerk by noon the Friday before, or anyone who attends the meeting can sign up before the consent agenda is set under 7A. So anytime up to this point, in the meeting when you would be setting the consent agenda, you would fill out one of the cards at the back of the room and provide it to the clerk. We plan on amending potentially our video to explain that to the public that attends.
And then any ordinance change would not be under consent agenda, correct?
It is not presently listed as one of the items that would be brought forward under the consent agenda.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else who speak against Bill number 3671? Okay, I'm not seeing. I'm going to now close this to the public discussion. Any questions from the board? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Okay.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3671 on its second reading by title only.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is that we place bill number 3671 on its second reading by title only. This motion was made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of voting the motion to discuss bill 3671, do so by show of hands, please. And that does carry.
An ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, Chapter 110, Mayor and Board of Aldermen, Section 110-215, regarding the order of business for aldermanic meetings and adopting a consent agenda.
Bruce, excuse me, Alderman Galloway, any further discussion?
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3671 as ordinance number 20-043.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion is that we enact bill 3671 to become ordinance 25-043. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway, the second by Alderman Snyder. Roll call, please.
Alderman Snyder,
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf,
Aye.
Alderman Aiken,
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson,
Aye.
Alderman Campbell is absent, Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes, motion carries.
Okay, we now draw attention to the bill number 3672.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3672 on its first reading by title only.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is we place bill number 3672 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway, is second by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss bill 3672, do so by show of hands, and that does carry.
An ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, Chapter 110, Mayor and Board of Aldermen, Section 110-235, regarding times when citizens may address the board.
Okay. At this time, Alderman Galloway.
I've already spoken to it as I was talking globally about the things that we were voting on, and this deals with what Ms. McFall had asked questions about, is how does it get off the consent agenda? And if there's any questions, I'll field them.
Any questions from my board regarding? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Thank you, sir. Again, this is first reading. Anyone here who would speak for Bill 3672? Okay, anyone here to speak against Bill 3672? I've seen no motions, so I'm going to close this to the public. And any final board comments? Okay.
Your Honor, I move that we enact Bill number 3672 as ordinance number 20-044.
Second.
Okay. The motion is,
Oh,
no, this is second reading. You go ahead.
I move that we place Bill number 3672 on its second reading by title only.
And are you still want to second?
I'll
that?
still second.
Okay. The motion is that we place Bill number 3672 on its second reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Aiken. All in favor voting on the motion to discuss Bill 3672, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
an ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, Chapter 110, Mayor and Board of Aldermen, Section 110-235, regarding times when citizens may address the board.
Okay. Any additional comments, sir? No? Okay. None from the board, so I'd say let's go ahead.
This time for sure. Your Honor, I move that we enact Bill number 3672 as ordinance number 20-44.
25-044.
25.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep saying that. Okay.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we enact Bill number 3672 to become ordinance 25-044. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Aiken. Roll call, please.
Alderman Campbell is absent. Alderman Galloway,
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf,
Aye.
Alderman Snyder,
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson,
Aye.
Alderman Aiken.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes. Motion carries.
Okay. We'll now draw attention to Bill number 3673.
Your Honor, I move that we place Bill number 3673 on its first reading by title only.
Second by,
Second.
the motion is that we place Bill number 3673 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of voting on this motion to discuss Bill 3673, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, Chapter 140, Purchasing and Sales, Section 14030, regarding the purchasing authority of the city administrator.
One more time.
We did speak about it at the non-legislative session, but I also referenced this in my comments previously in terms of increasing minimum amounts. I'll field any questions.
And that new amount would be 75,000. Anything over 75,000 a penny, then we'll come back to the board. I'm just clarifying. Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay, I'm not seeing any. This is a first reading, so anyone here who would speak for Bill number 3673? Okay, anyone here who would speak against Bill 3673? This is your time to come to the podium. Okay, I'm not seeing motions, so I'm going to close it to the public then. Any final board response? Okay.
Your Honor, I move that we place Bill number 3673 on its second reading by title only.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we enact Bill 3673 to become ordinance. Wait a minute, I'm ahead now.
Yeah, you're ahead.
Okay, we got too many of these tonight.
Catching.
I know, sorry. Okay, we're doing second reading, Don. Okay, try this again. Just a second. Okay, so the motion is that we place on second reading by title only, Bill number 3673, and that motion was made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Metcalf. All in favor to vote on motion to discuss Bill 3673, do so by show of hands. Okay, that does carry.
An ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, Chapter 140, Purchasing and Sales, Section 14030, regarding the purchasing authority of the city administrator.
Okay. Any additional comments? No? Any additional comments from any of the board? Okay, I'm not seeing any.
Your Honor, I move that we enact Bill number 3673 as ordinance number 25-045.
And second by?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we enact Bill 3673 to become ordinance 25-045. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Metcalf. Roll call, please.
Alderman Metcalf,
Aye.
Alderman Aiken,
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson,
Aye.
Alderman Snyder,
Aye.
Alderman Campbell is absent, Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes, motion carries.
Okay, we now draw attention to, we have 4 resolutions. The first one is resolution number 2024.
Your Honor, I move that we read resolution number 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay. Okay, the motion is that we read resolution 2024. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Hutchinson. All in favor of voting on the motion to read resolution 2024, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
A resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Ozark, Missouri, authorizing the city to apply for grant funds available through the Ozarks Transportation Organization and supporting said application.
Okay, we'll recognize our Public Works Director, Jeremy Parson now.
So we're not talking about a generator, Alderman Galloway. So if you'll give me just a couple minutes here. As you know, the OTO is a partner, is an amazing regional partner. And occasionally, almost yearly now, they've been putting out a call for projects. Basically, what we're doing tonight is coming to you and getting that nod to move forward with the applications, the scoring process, and also work it through the technical planning committee, as well as the board of directors at the OTO. So we're getting that process. And first off, hats off to our staff. This is a lot of work. It's a lot of fun, but Valerie and Cliff at Planning and Development, along with the planning department, has helped us create this wild map that shows all this connectivity. And I always like to start with the big picture, but you know our goal. Our goal is, maybe I need to turn it on. No, it's on. Our goal is to create that Chadwick Flyer spine, that connection to Springfield, and kind of build off that. What you're going to see tonight in these resolutions are further smaller connections to the spine, but very important, very critical. The first one that we'll talk to you about tonight is the Jackson Street connection. And basically what that will do is connect the commercial subdivision where you've got El Taco, and you've also, no, you're fine. El Taco, and I think you've got, what is that, KFC there and all those. But this commercial subdivision will now be connected safely with a safe sidewalk that gets down to the Chadwick Flyer. So again, the kids from the high school can run over, grab some lunch, have a grade separated place to cross, and then go over to the OIC. So that's the first one tonight that we'd like to apply for. If you'll remember, we already designed this. You all approved the funding and the grant that we received from the OTO to design this. So the design was an 80-20 match, and now we're going after construction. So it's always good, that 80-20 we love. So that'll be the first one that you vote on tonight in terms of a resolution. We're just looking for support to move forward to the OTO with these projects. Do you want me to go through them all now, or you want to take them one? Okay.
What?
Any questions?
Jeremy, go through them all.
Go through them all? Okay. All right, here we
Of course,
go.
we'll be voting on just 2024 right now, but,
Yeah.
so, okay.
All right, buckle up. Here we go.
Okay.
So I failed to mention the cost on this. It is a substantial cost. It's about $318,000. The city's estimated share is around 63. A lot of grading there. You're also fighting right of way and have to do a substantial amount of retaining wall. But we feel like it is an essential connection. This one will get you going. Not that Jackson Street isn't cool, but this one is down by the OC. You all know where the trail currently ends, kind of just on the east side of the creek there, and then we've got the pavilion. This would carry that trail across. Let me do this. Carry that trail across. And again, this is one of those ones that we went out, got the grant for. It's been designed. Now it's time to start running with the actual construction. We're going to do this in phases, and I'll skip this to another slide real quick. Because of the cost of this and the elevations involved, and because the OTO put out a $4 million call, we chose to do the green section first, which would connect us to the existing OTC trail. And then it would kind of have what we call pedestrian cul-de-sac down there by the 65 bridge. The next time they go out, if everything is approved and we can collectively go after that additional funding, you can bet we'll be there. We've always got to check with finance and make sure that we can carry that. But this is a substantial project, and to the tune of about $1.1 million. But there again, we would be paying $222 ultimately. In all of these, just as the explanation sheet reads, we do have to carry the entire cost. We get reimbursed the 80 on the back end, but we do get reimbursed very quickly. I will tell you, working with MoDOT, the OTO, and city staff, we've got that down to a science. So that money gets in there quickly. So that's a fun project. And I did get a question, will it eliminate some of the soft trails? No, I think what you're going to see is hard trails that are intertwined with soft trails. So that gives the average mountain biker an opportunity to kind of duck in and out and have more challenging places to ride their bikes, kind of like what you see down in Northwest Arkansas. So the next one we've talked about for a while, Finley Farms. We have been dealing with, quite frankly, the floodplain, the environmental, and just making sure that we're all on the same page with the alignment. It does require a pedestrian bridge crossing over this little tributary. Just this last week or so, the water was all the way up into here. So we had to make sure that we're not creating any adverse impacts upstream or downstream, but we've got it all in line, and we're ready to go after that, and we're ready to get this project started, really. We have been working on this for quite some time, and it has been difficult to get the appropriate alignment, but we're so close. So this cost has gone up due to the pedestrian bridge and a few other things that we're going to have to do because of the floodplain. But again, 80-20 on that one as well. And this is fun. The LCRA project that we're working on right now, the Avenue of Heroes. We're going to try to keep this rolling. As you know, you all approved in 2024, I should say, for the 2025 budget, some money to go through and do some preliminary engineering and design. This would take it one step further. Just so you all know, we've taken this to the LCRA as well, and have received their blessing. They're very excited about this. This would essentially create a node of activity across the street over here. And it's working within our right of way. We're not working, I know we've got 5 properties over there. We're not embarking on any of those or trying to infringe on any of those. This is working within our right of way. It's working to create pedestrian facilities. It's working to create on-street parking, all those things that will just make this land that much more developable. And the really cool thing about this is that it showcases a very historically and culturally significant cemetery. And it does make it a place for people to gather, and it makes a place for people when they come to visit our community and our trails. It will be a showpiece for our community as well. So I think this just checks the boxes. So we'll aggressively go after this. I will tell you, it is very competitive this year. So fingers crossed. I hope we get them all, but I doubt it, because everybody is on the trail train right now, and everybody's trying to get on and build as many trails. But we feel like staff and working with admin staff as well, we picked some great projects And we just need your blessing to move it forward to the TPC, or the Technical Planning Committee. So, and this one would only be for engineering. So it seems much less, but that would carry that forward. And then the next time we get some funding available, we would go after construction cost. Bottom line, I just love the relationship that we built with the OTO. They see the significance of filling these gaps and connecting to downtown and connecting to our nodes of activity. Very competitive. Again, this will be awarded and go to the executive committee sometime in August, it looks like. Work on these projects will not begin until 2026. Again, just to recap, tonight we're talking Jackson Street, the connection there, the western expansion, the Finley River Trail extension that will connect underneath the bridge and carry that into Finley Farms, and then the Avenue of Heroes engineering only. So you're looking at about $2 million. Originally, we were going in for about 2.6 with some feedback from OTO. We backed it down a little bit because of the competitiveness, but $2 million is still a lot of trails we can get on the ground. And we can do that for less than $400,000, $2 million worth of trails for less than $400,000. We like those numbers. So any questions about any of these?
So basically, we're going to approve the asking for the money.
That's correct. Yeah, you're just saying, hey, the city of Ozark is behind it, and please move forward with the process.
And we could have all 4 approved, or we could have maybe 2 approved.
That's correct.
I desire we want all 4, I know, approved,
We're wanting to go 4 for 4, but we'll take what we can get.
yes. Okay. Any questions for Director Parson?
Good deal. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. 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 Now, this is a first reading. Well, first reading, it is a resolution. I want to open it at this time to the public. Is there anyone here who wants to speak for Resolution 2024 tonight? Okay. Anyone who would speak against Resolution 2024? Okay. I'm not seeing movement, so I'm going to close it to the public now. Any final board response? If not,
Your Honor, I move that we approve or adopt Resolution 2024.
second by,
Second.
okay. The motion is that we adopt Resolution 2024. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken. It was seconded by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of voting on the motion to approve Resolution 2024, do so by show of hands. And that passes. Now, my understanding was this was for, as item A. We still have 3 more resolutions because these resolutions for different.
That is correct. He presented for all, you have 4 resolutions to consider. His presentation encompassed all 4. So you've now dealt with the first item and you have 3 more.
Right, because the one we approved, I had my notes. We just approved the Jackson Street. Now we're going to look at the Finley River Trail. Okay, so now we're going to draw attention to Resolution 2025.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2025.
We're going to read.
I apologize. I make a motion that we read Resolution
Yeah.
2025.
Is there a second?
Second. Sorry, Chris, I'm catching.
Okay. The motion is that we read Resolution 2025. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Galloway. All in favor of voting on the motion to read Resolution 2025, do so by show of hands. That does carry.
A resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Ozark, Missouri, authorizing the city to apply for grant funds available through the Ozarks Transportation Organization and supporting said application.
Okay. Director Parson, just clarify which resolution this one is covering for my benefit. Yes.
trail extension.
Okay.
That's the one that connects underneath the Jackson Street Bridge and goes to Penley Farms.
Okay, I just want clarification since we have 4 separate ones. Any questions for Director Parson? Not seeing any. Okay, I'm open to this to the public this time. Anyone here who wishes to speak for Resolution 2025? This is your time to come to the podium. Okay, not seeing move. Anyone here opposed to Resolution 2025? Okay, I'm going to close it to the public now. Any final board response? Okay, I'm not seeing any.
I move that we approve resolution number 2025.
Second.
The motion is that we approve Resolution 2025. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Galloway. All in favor, voting on the motion to approve Resolution 2025, do so by show of hands. And that does carry. Okay. Now we're going to draw attention to Resolution 2026.
Motion to read resolution 2026.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is for us to read Resolution 2026. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Galloway. All in favor of voting on the motion to read Resolution 2026, do so by show of hands. And that carries.
A resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Ozark, Missouri, authorizing the city to apply for grant funds available through the Ozarks Transportation Organization and supporting said application.
Okay. And just for clarification, we're voting on Director Parson.
Yes, this one is the Finley River Western Expansion, going from the OC to the Highway 65 bridge at this time.
Okay. Any questions for Director Parson and the board? Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone from the public? I'm going to open it this time. Who would speak for Resolution 2026? Okay. Anyone here opposed to Resolution 2026? Okay. I'm not seeing motion, so I'm going to close it now to the public. Any final board response? Questions? Go ahead, sir.
Motion to adopt resolution 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is that we adopt Resolution 2026. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken. It was seconded by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of voting on the motion to approve Resolution 2026, do so by show of hands. And that does carry. Now we'll draw attention to Resolution 2027.
Motion to read resolution 2027, Your Honor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we read Resolution 2027. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Hutchinson. All in favor of voting on the motion to read Resolution 2027, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
A resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Ozark, Missouri, authorizing the city to apply for grant funds available through the Ozarks Transportation Organization and supporting said application.
Okay, one more time. We're voting on,
This final resolution is regarding the LCRA property, also known as the Avenue of Heroes project.
and this is for engineer design.
Just for engineering on this one. Yes, sir.
Okay, any questions for Director Parson? Thank you, sir.
You.
Okay, at this time to the public, I'm opening it up. Is anyone here who would speak for Resolution 2027? Okay, anyone here who's opposed to Resolution 2027? Not seeing movement, I'm going to close it now. Any final board response? Go ahead, sir.
I, for one, am really excited about all these projects, and I hope we get all of them. And I move that we approve resolution 2027.
Second by,
Second.
okay, I'm going, ladies. Okay, the motion is that we approve Resolution 2027. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken. It was seconded by Alderman Hutchinson. All in favor of voting on the motion to approve Resolution 2027, do so by show of hands. And that does carry. And just one comment. One thing I've learned is we have an untapped gem in our city of Ozark, is our cemetery. The people who are laid to rest there have fought in different wars and things like that. I'm just like, wow, I did not realize. And I think anything we do to help enhance that and make it accessible also to the public. That I think just another feather in a hat for the city of Ozark. So thank you again for all these potential, hopefully, projects we'll have in the near future. So now we're going to draw attention now to our second readings. And the first one we're going to draw attention to is Bill number 3665.
Yes, Your Honor, I move that we place Bill number 3665 on its second reading by title and brief description only.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we place on second reading by title only, Bill number 3665. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf, second by Alderman Aiken. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss Bill 3665, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property located at 1602 through 1604 West South Street.
Okay, we're recognized now Community Director Randall Whitman. We'll change directors now.
Thank you. Good evening. I don't have any new information to add since we had the public hearing last month. I will note the applicant's representative from the church, as well as the representative of Seven Brew is here, Sean Berry, if you have any questions for him. Otherwise,
Do we have any questions for our director or for the people who are here regarding this development? Okay, thank you. Okay, any final board comments?
Okay, Your Honor, I make a motion that we adopt Bill number 3665 as ordinance number 25-046.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is that we adopt Bill 3665 to become ordinance 25-046. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Snyder. Roll call, please.
Alderman Snyder?
Aye.
Alderman Aiken?
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson?
Aye.
Alderman Galloway?
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf?
Aye.
Alderman Campbell is absent. We have 5 aye votes. Motion carries.
Okay, now we're going to draw attention to Bill number 3666.
Your Honor, I move that we place Bill number 3666 on its second reading by title and brief description only.
And second by,
Second.
the motion is that we place Bill number 3666 on its second reading and by brief description only. And that motion was made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Aiken. All in favor of voting on this motion to discuss Bill 3666. Do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property located at 1014 through 1018 South 3rd Street.
Okay, well, welcome back, Director Whitman.
just as before, I'll be glad to answer any questions I can. I note the applicant is not present to answer any questions, but I'll be glad to field anything.
Okay. Yes, I think Alderman Aiken first.
I was just, before we kind of get into questions, going to see if we could get a map of the zoning classifications in that area pulled up for reference.
Go back up. So the property, it's highlighted in kind of an aqua color there on the east side of 3rd Street. It's 2 buildings. They're connected, and they're on 2 parcels. And they have recently went through the process of combining those into 1 parcel. So that was one of the requirements to rezone the property. So take another look. This is a slide we added since we had the public hearing. There's some discussion about bringing the building itself into compliance for changing the zoning classification from C4 to C2. The picture on the top, of course, is what it looked like prior to the building modifications, and the picture below it is where it is at today. The improvements aren't finished. You can see the ends of the gable are open. But that was the modification made to the roof that does not comply with the C4 zoning district or design guidelines. Of course, the zoning map on the right You can see there towards the bottom is highlighted where the property is in relation to 3rd Street and downtown.
Any more questions?
I can go back if you, previous slide. I'm sorry.
I think that map, now seeing that map, it's stating the obvious, but so there are a couple of parcels or properties that are C2 between this property and in downtown. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, everything in red is C2, and there's a light pink color is C4.
To your knowledge, did the C2 in that corridor, those zoning classifications or the properties that are zoned that, do those zoning classifications predate the C4, or is it the other way around? Does that make sense?
I would have to phone a friend or ask maybe
Okay.
Cameron, perhaps Jeremy, who've got more history with that.
Director Cameron?
I am not familiar with that.
I don't know that we're prepared to answer that tonight. We'd have to do a lot of digging. That's been zoned that way for quite some time.
Okay. Oh,
Okay, Galloway was next.
Two sets of questions. One dealing with the appropriateness of the zoning change, or one set really. I noticed in page, well, I don't know what page number it is. It's, if you are looking at it in PDF form, it's 133 out of 187, but I don't see that it's paginated otherwise. It's the page that comes after several colored diagrams towards the beginning. The first set of questions, I don't know if anybody can find what I'm looking for here on the board. I
You
think
talking about? Is that what you're referring to?
that's right. So there's at the top third of the page, there's some bold and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences. And then underneath that, it says overview and staff commentary in bold about halfway down the page. And it's just after the colored, green colored diagrams. There we go. And then if you scroll down towards the bottom of the page, it says that staff has recommended rezoning the property to C2 to prevent the applicant from having to remove work that had been completed, which I think you had shown us pictures that it's in a state of incomplete remodel, I guess, would way to put it. Do you know the history as to how, well, first of all, I think that the work had to be stopped because it wasn't complying with the C4 zoning, which led to the recommendation for C2. Do you know how it came to be that construction work on a major thoroughfare occurred contrary to our zoning guidelines?
Yeah, so this occurred before I started, but a little bit of the backstory is the applicant did come in and ask if a permit was required to re-roof the buildings. And they're older buildings with architectural asphalt shingles. And the question was answered in the context of if you replace shingles with like shingles, no, you don't need a permit for that. But as you can see from the photos, that wasn't his intention. It was to put a different style of roof that was designed different with a different pitch and different materials. And those materials, the picture on the bottom, those are not allowed in the C4 zoning district. So as soon as it was noticed, he was issued a stop work order, and an enforcement process began. So.
Okay.
That explains why it's not complete. to your
Sure.
point.
So I guess then the history is that it's been C4 and zoned this way with requirements for particular types of materials, because C4 is for the historic downtown to have a historic aesthetic. And it's been, I just heard comments, it's been the law for as long as beyond the institutional memory that you have here. And then work was done after a question that was kind of delivered to city staff that didn't have much to do with the type of work I'm asking that was actually performed, the shingles versus reconstruction.
I'm not sure. I think your question is with regard to them. It's really about the materials, the metal, and is not allowed in the C4 district. Is that the question you're asking?
Sure. Well, I guess I'm just trying to understand the communication that took place. I know you weren't here, but you investigated.
Sure.
The communication that took place between city staff and the developer was that question was made about what shingles to use.
Oh, the initial, yes. No, it was really just, do you need a building permit to replace the shingles on this building? And
Okay.
the answer was no, you do not need to do that.
And then the work that was actually done was what?
It was to add that roof there that's white, that's got the vertical extension on it, and the portion on the back. Everything you see that's different between the two photos is what he did outside of the permit process.
So I just want to make sure there wasn't a miscommunication between staff and the developer. Oh, go ahead and do this. It'll be okay.
Yeah, correct. There obviously was a miscommunication, but I would take it it's on his part, not the city's part.
Because the work was done, didn't have much to do with the
That's right.
shingles.
And Cameron can qualify this if I'm wrong, but as soon as the city noticed it, I think it occurred, as soon as he started doing this, he was immediately asked to stop. There was a couple incidents where he continued to do the work. He was asked again. And I can tell you, maybe Cameron can, how many times that occurred, but
I see. So there were multiple communications to not proceed and work continued anyway?
yes, sir.
Communications from city staff to the developer, and then the developer continued to work.
Yes.
Was any of that communication in writing, or was that all verbal, or
I think it was both.
verbal and writing? So
Yes.
no chance of miscommunication there.
At that point, no, it was crystal clear.
Okay. Yeah, and just reading from this report, it does sound like staff is trying to catch up to the situation. That significant work had been done to see, C4 or C2 could be appropriate, which is far less stringent, or far more stringent than C2, which is the proposal. And then there's this comment at the bottom here, C2 zoning is still compatible with the uses of that building and the larger area, I guess in the sense that it's a business property.
Yes, sir.
And then the rezoning of this parcel is moderately compatible with some goals to the comprehensive and onward Ozark plans. So it can be read either way.
Yeah, I think I've got a slide that kind of gives sorry, let me go the right direction here. Yeah, so the Onward Ozark plan references this district within the central corridor district, and it's called the 3rd Street District Plan. It talks about the use of these properties along 3rd Street downtown and on South Street, a little bit towards South Street. And it basically speaks to what you said, that the types of businesses in C2 and C4 are both compatible with what the city wanted to achieve in that district. So in terms of use, either district offers the same use. It's really about the compatibility of the buildings and the structures and things like that. So it's a recognition that if we rezone it to C2, the building will look different than it would be allowed to look in C4.
Pulls out of the historic aesthetic of the downtown area.
Certainly.
Okay. Okay, the bottom on the next page, I was reading from that last sentence of the page before, but going to the top third of the next page, the Onward Ozark Plan. At the final line, it says the 3rd Street District, it is compatible with the mixed-use 3rd Street District goals, I guess, but would diverge from the recommended downtown aesthetic. I think recommended's there twice. What does that mean? Diverges from the recommended downtown aesthetic that was recommended?
I think that's speaking to the design standards for the building itself, that type of roof that with the white vertical siding and the new roof design wouldn't be allowed in the C4. It wouldn't be allowed by those design guidelines. So that's how the building or design of that building or roof would kind of diverge from the design otherwise seen downtown.
But the Onward Ozark Plan, is that the one that was just done and approved by planning and zoning?
Yes, sir.
And so it had recommended a downtown aesthetic for that property? I'm asking, I don't know.
I think it's asking, or it's suggesting that that aesthetic be achieved through those zoning districts.
Through those zoning districts, okay.
Yeah, so the zoning districts look not just at building design and site design, but they also look at use. So there's a couple things to consider there. The zoning, the use of the buildings really wouldn't change regardless of district. It's really more about the site design and the building design.
So basically, it's just saying that there was a recommended downtown aesthetic, and it would diverge from it. If we followed with
If
the
you
C2.
rezone the property, yes, sir.
Okay. So I guess question before the board is whether it's appropriate or not to deviate from that aesthetic is the question. You're nodding your head.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That kind of simplifies the issue for me. I'm sorry I didn't communicate with you beforehand, but I had some different thoughts about it, and I recently kind of was questioned about those thoughts, and so I thought I'd ask these questions.
It's a little cumbersome, I realize that. So.
All right.
Okay. Snyder.
Mr. Whitman, just out of curiosity, how sound is the construction on that building right now that has been added to?
He actually was required to have a structural engineer look at the construction, look at the redesign of the roof, and did it compromise the integrity of the original roof? And he's got a sealed set of drawings that says it does not, and his construction method, the materials they use are just fine, and it passes, clearance to go ahead and finish it if that's the path that we go down.
And our personnel have taken a look at it as well?
Yes, sir.
And it's solid construction, is that correct?
To the point to the current stage, it's a yes. As you can see, it's obviously not finished yet.
Sure,
It doesn't have
absolutely.
gutters on it. Those ends aren't finished out. There's some trim
But
work.
the
missing.
premise of his design, it is sound, is that correct? Thank you.
Yes. Aiken.
So one presumes the intent behind the shape of the roof is so that they can put signs up on the vertical surface. It's in transportation overlay district, which prohibits, I think prohibits roof signs. Would those not be considered roof signs for the purpose of the overlay district?
Yeah, that's a good. One of the things that the applicant was wanting to achieve was, you can see from the top picture, those signs that are there, I believe, were installed, I don't want to use the word illegally, maybe they were there before the design requirements for that C4 district were established. But he did this modification to help create some better signage for the businesses themselves. You can see there's some banners and things, and that it just wasn't effective. And that vertical surface that's in white was intended to mount a wall sign there. That was one of the things he wanted to achieve by changing or modifying the roof.
Right, and so does this, I mean, the overlay, my reading of the overlay district is that it prohibits, it could be a misreading, I guess. I looked at it a few days ago and it seems like it prohibits roof signs. Does this not meet that definition? I know I'm putting you on the spot, something I hadn't thought of until this meeting.
I think, I may not have the terminology right, but it's more of a wall sign at that point. And it would be permitted on that vertical wall surface, yes. And again, the board, the signs on the top photo would not be permitted, no. One could say they're non-conforming, perhaps.
It actually maybe addresses what were non-conforming signs and brings them to code.
In a sense, it does, yes.
Okay, any other questions for Director Whitman? Yes, ma'am.
Just a couple of questions. So the R4 has a downtown aesthetic that doesn't just apply to the historic buildings, but to non-conforming buildings as well, or non-contributing buildings, I should say. It's to help non-contributing buildings that aren't historic fit into the historic district or feel more a part of it. Correct? Would you?
I would agree with that, yes.
Yeah. Okay, and so that's one of the purposes of the R4 downtown aesthetics. I guess one of my questions is, I see in the narrative here, it says, therefore, to remedy the situation, staff has recommended rezoning the property to C2. I have a hard time thinking that we need to remedy the situation that has been created by someone who intentionally violated our ordinances. Our ordinances aren't suggestions, they're law. And I have a hard time that we're trying to accommodate him when he deliberately did this. I guess a question I would have is, so are fines being levied, or are there violation orders being given, and it's on, how does that work?
There was at least 2 tickets or citations issued, and there may have been 3. I know at least 2. So yes, as soon as he continued with his construction or his rebuilding the roof, and he was asked not to, he was issued a citation. And I think there was a couple things he had to do. He had to apply for the zoning change if he wanted to bring the building into compliance, and he also had to combine the lots into one. Once he started down that path, I don't think there were any more citations issued.
Are those citations, do they continue on a daily basis cost because it's not in compliance?
Amanda may help me there.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, a citation may be issued daily for every day a violation occurs, but in terms of the cost, it just falls under our general penalty section, which would be $0 to $500 or $0 to 90 days in jail, but we don't seek jail time.
So it would be a one-time, one-day occurrence for the days that he was issued those?
Yes, for each ticket. And so each ticket would have a separate penalty and be considered separately by the judge. And those would, be at the discretion of the judge to determine where that penalty falls, and if it would be appropriate to dismiss the ticket if by chance the issue had been remedied. I don't believe they've been resolved yet in court.
Okay. So if the issue is resolved by the rezoning, there may be no penalty at all?
It just depends on the judge and the background of the case. But in some cases, just like a insurance ticket, if somebody goes out and procures insurance, many times we would dismiss that citation.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Aiken.
A question on penalties while we're on the topic. So there's a general penalty section, and then I think there's a penalty section in the chapter on zoning regulations.
Some of our ordinances do have specific penalties, and if this one has one, then we would follow that. Yes.
Okay. And I think it carries fines of up to $250 for each day that the violation goes unaddressed or something to that effect.
That, yeah, we would follow that and recommend that. Our judge typically follows the general penalty section, but we certainly could recommend that.
That other section would be applicable to this type of situation?
It would. Yeah, it just depends on how we recommend that to the judge and what his discretion is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, so in the, I thought you, sorry.
Go ahead. Go to Alderman Metcalf and then the administrator.
So staying with the penalty topic, two questions. One, if nothing happens, which something's going to happen because we're going to vote, but let's say this process that we're doing was put off and tabled or put off and time went off, it would eventually get to the judge and we would recommend whatever the ordinance is to the judge and that would happen. But if we make a decision and there's a remedy, then it's most likely going to be dismissed. So, right?
Well, not necessarily. It's just something the judge can consider. So
Okay.
a defendant can take many different paths to court. They can pay the fine ahead of time, which means they don't even appear in court. They can hire an attorney who would then settle the case with no appearance as well. So then at those points, we don't have any opportunity to speak as a representative of the city. And so those penalties are just assessed generally based on our general penalty section. If they do come to court and we are there to appear, we advocate, and many times in nuisance cases, we advocate that there was a continuing violation and that there should be a penalty. However, the judge has the discretion to listen to the defendant, and many times will take that into consideration that there has been a remedy. So I was just trying to outline, in every case, it's going to be unique, but those are the factors they consider.
So I think what this board and common sense people would want is that violations of ordinances and law breaking would come with consequences. So I was wondering if Randall could speak to maybe some of the suffering that this property owner has maybe already endured with his boldness to change the roof line out of ordinance. And then we, of course, gave him a couple tickets. If this is voted down and we don't change the zoning classification tonight, what would then be, what would the city would then force him to take that down somehow? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, answer to your first question is I think that the only really repercussion has been at some point, because the roof was in this state of incompletion, if you will. He did lose insurance according to the applicant. His coverage was dropped. So there was a period there where he wasn't, the buildings, I guess his tenants, I'm not sure how that works. There was no coverage. So there were some consequences for him there. I think they were frustrated. They obviously didn't have the ability to put signage up and there was construction going on. And I guess you could say some chaos. Otherwise, the answer to your second question is if the zoning were to fail or just doesn't go through, he would be obligated to remove the roof and return it to the condition it was prior to what they just have to take it back to the original roof structure. So
Then would he have the opportunity then to reapply again for a zoning change?
there is a time limit. I would have to look in to see when that is, but yes, eventually maybe one of my colleagues can help me. But I think eventually you would be able to, yes.
Yeah. And it is playing out right now that we've stopped him. We've told him what he is supposed to do, and he is doing what we're telling him to do, which is apply for the rezoning and move forward with this, and he's been compliant with all that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I do know he's causing a, what's the word I want to say? The neighbor to the east of him, because there's no guttering on this current roof, and his former roof had guttering, the person that lives behind him is getting, with the rain, he's getting washed out he's never had before. Again, that's just the person who lives behind him, because he came to planning and zoning and spoke about, this is a new occurrence that did not happen until this roof change. But again, because since he stopped work, the guttering's not on right now. Yes, sir. Well, actually, the city administrator had asked.
I'll defer to the.
Okay.
I'm struggling on this vote a little bit because I was thinking that I would be deferring to the P&Z board on seemed like a judgment call, but I'm struggling a little bit. It sounds like from the point of view of, is the developer here, the owner?
No, sir.
He came to the first reading, but he's not here for the second reading.
Okay. I had, when you're own property or you're making decisions, you accept the natural consequences of your decisions. And if you're on property that was zone C4, I don't think I have to guess what the purpose is. I'm going to get to that in a moment, but it's your responsibility to understand what you're supposed to do to get your property in conformity with the code. And if you don't do that, and then you get communications saying, don't do it, and you do it anyway, I mean, those consequences are pretty much owned by that owner. So I pretty well resolved that situation, that where I go on to the second set of questions I was asking was, we're called upon to decide whether the zoning change is appropriate. And then, here, there's Chesterson's fence is the puzzle that is put out by, and it's kind of cited by quite a few decision makers. And it's, you come to a fence that crosses the road. Person one kind of persuasion and how they decide things will say, well, we must get rid of it. But a person who makes wise decisions says, will you first tell me why it was there to begin with? If that reason no longer applies, I'm going to support the decision to remove the fence. Here, I mean, I think it was kind of understood in the subtext of this report that I read, and then just kind of listening to your responses as I was taking it all in. It's pretty clear that this was an intentional zoning. I don't know the right parlance, a structure that's not historic but supporting. It is a structure that you're seeing as you drive into downtown, which presently doesn't look great from 3rd Street, which is really troubling if you own property there and you want that center city to thrive, that you really, people, thousands drive by it every day, every week, every month, and they just keep going and they don't see it because it doesn't look like much. So I'm guessing, I think it's an educated guess, that it was an intentional thought to make sure that structure, when it was time for improvements, to come up to something that would draw the traveler's eye and look historic and have a downtown aesthetic. So, I think that under Chesterson's fence, I do understand why the fence is across the road. And then, the question is, well, is that an appropriate way to look at it now? I mean, historically, people have to ask to have their property rezoned when they're going through that process. So some owner thought it was a good idea to make it C4 back when they were trying to distinguish this district. I guess my question is related to design. I'm pulling myself back here. I've set aside that I've got an owner that ignored our rules, ignored warnings, put himself in a bad spot, hoping that the process will change his situation. I understand all that. And I also understand that's an owner that also wanted to improve the property, make it more commercially viable and that kind of thing, and have a better roof and so on. So it's there's that side of it too. I go back to, is there any guidance from the latest plan we did as to where we should appropriately begin imposing design guidelines so that it's historic along 3rd Street as people approach the historic downtown? Do we have any guidance there from our recent past report? And I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I should normally ask these questions ahead of time, but I'm just now catching up to it.
That's fine. I think it's a little bit subjective. Jean Ann could help with this. There's these rules with respect to that you don't create a false sense of history. So going out and strictly taking a building like that and putting a historic looking facade on it isn't appropriate either. Yeah, I think we would appreciate the fact that it would look like it blends in and it aligns with the history and it's nostalgic, if you will. But creating something that's false, that's not really historic, it just looks good, that's one opportunity to do that. I don't think that's what he was trying to achieve. And we don't have a code, we don't have a plan, we don't have any directives, we don't have any good policies or guidance that suggests we should do that. In fact, downtown, when we try to create, historic preservation and things, that's one of the rules we tend in historic preservation that we try not to do, that we don't create that false sense of history. We honor what was there and we put something back in that's complementary, but it doesn't look fake or it doesn't look false. So the answer to the basic question is no, we don't have anything in place to create that. I'm sorry.
Okay, and then, pardon me, just a little bit more if I can beg indulgence of my members. Is he able to keep his roof looking the way it is? And do other things that would pull his building into compliance? It does seem like he's put some posts out. It looks like it's got kind of a built-in awning. In a way, it looks kind of old-timey in a way, I guess. Does he have to pull it out?
It's the materials. I think it's the metal and the way the metal is fashioned to the building that those materials don't align or aren't approved by the design guidelines. Is that correct, Cameron?
That is correct. The only issue is the metal material that is not allowed in the C4 district.
What metal material is that?
The roof is metal. It's like a corrugated metal material.
The part that you see that's black is no longer asphalt shingles. That's tin roof metal, and the white is metal.
No. Well, the upper white is new. That's metal. The lower white is just painted wood siding.
Oh, I meant the roof. Is that new?
The newer part up top is, yes, that's metal.
Black.
The white piece up top is metal as well. You're correct there, but the black is metal. But all the existing white at the lower level is just the existing siding that was already on the building. He just painted it white. It was like a cream green color prior.
Well, I'm getting into the weeds. Just, does he have to, the flat roof that the rain falls on, does he have to get rid of that to be in compliance, or can he keep that and just change the awning? I'm not trying to suggest a solution. I just want to know, does he have to pull out all that work, including the roof that keeps the rain out of the building?
According to C4 ordinance, yes, all the metal would have to be removed. If he chose to shingle that roof instead of metal, that's where it take an additional structural report, because that's an additional load, but our C4 ordinance does not allow metal to be a roof material.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Our city administrator, a couple times you've been trying.
I'm just going to put a nice bow on it for you, okay? I wish. If you haven't figured out, this is a very difficult, challenging, and cumbersome scenario before you tonight. This has been going on for 1 year. It arrived on my desk when I got here a year ago, and here we are tonight trying to resolve it. Staff was challenged to try to come up with a creative solution, and unfortunately or regrettably, what you have before you tonight is our best effort to be creative and to use the code that we have to facilitate development as opposed to using code to stop the development, which is why we're recommending, and there's a presentation before you to rezone this from C4 to C2. It's not perfect, and it really is messy, and it's clunky. But that summarizes why you have this before you tonight. There's been many discussions that have occurred over the last several months about this particular property, and a desire to try to find a solution and an outcome that would be generally acceptable. And certainly the board will make a decision, and staff will follow whatever the wishes of the board might be.
Alderman Hutchison.
Just a couple of things. When we talk about redevelopment, that property's already rented, correct? It has economic development going on. It has businesses in it. So redevelopment, I mean, just because he's rehabbing the building in maybe a less than desirable way, I don't call that redevelopment. You know, that's just a personal update. And what is going to happen if the zoning is changed? Will that discourage quality redevelopment in the future? Perhaps. I mean, I think that was probably the reason it was zoned C4, was to encourage quality redevelopment in the future. When these buildings are antiquated and there's more someone who wants to invest money in a quality location that's adjacent to the historic downtown. And so I loved your gate because that really puts it in perspective. So what was the purpose of that gate being in R4? Maybe to develop quality redevelopment in the future, where those buildings will even be replaced or rehabbed in a quality way. But right now, I don't see that this helps the city at all. It benefits us because the same tenants will be there. It's not like it's not already in use. And the second thing is the behavior. You know, we're looking at the building and thinking of the use of the building. The building's in use as it was. So this does not benefit us, the city, at all. It's not a better building. But then the behavior, and this has happened in Ozark since I've been here the last 13 years, is that the ordinances are not respected. And it's happened several times. And perhaps that's because we need to enforce them. We need to be the hard person and enforce what we pass. And I've heard it talked about in other ways, you know, within our city. Well, why aren't we enforcing? You know, we have a department, it's very small for the size of our city, to enforce our ordinances and to help keep things up. But this is very visible. It's right there in our face. It was done very publicly. And what's going to have, what are the long-term ramifications of that as well? It will encourage more misbehavior if we enable it. And I think that's a serious question we need to ask as well.
Okay. Yes.
I just have a final question. Can we instruct our legal, if this passes, that when this does go to court, these penalties that these tickets, I guess they're called, that we issued to him, he could have paid them already, but since he hasn't, it's probably going to go to court. But can Amanda, Mrs. Callaway, go and say what Eric says in front of the judge and say, the city would like to have penalty on this person for his behavior, even though we came up with a remedy that was muddy and not perfect. There was a violation here, and we want to seek a penalty. And the judge is the judge, and the judge can dismiss it, and I understand that. But we can go in saying this. Can we not direct you to do that, or?
Well, prosecutorial discretion usually calls for the prosecutor to make that decision based on a case-by-case basis, but I would like to just reaffirm that on most nuisance cases, or we haven't had a zoning case that comes forward to the court before when I've been here, but we certainly do advocate that there has been a violation and that we would advocate for the penalty that's appropriate. And so I would encourage that occurs at court, which I think is consistent with what you're asking.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I have no further comments about this.
Okay. Are we good? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Well, with that being said, then, Your Honor, I make a motion that we adopt Bill number 3666 as ordinance number 25-047.
Is there a second to this?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we adopt Bill number 3666 to become ordinance 25-047. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf, second by Alderman Aiken. Roll call, please.
Alderman Metcalf.
Aye.
Alderman Campbell is absent. Alderman Galloway.
Nay.
Alderman Hutchinson.
Nay.
Alderman Aiken.
Aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
We have 3 aye votes, 2 nay, and 1 absent. Motion fails. Does not pass.
Okay. We'll now draw attention to Bill number 3667.
I move that. Mayor, I move that Bill 3667 be placed on its second and final reading by title only.
Second.
The motion is that we place Bill number 3667 on second reading by title only. The motion was made by Alderman Hutchinson. It was seconded by Alderman Metcalf. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss Bill 3667, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, authorizing the city to enter into a contract with Carnahan White LLC for ball field fencing.
Okay. And we'll recognize our Director Hayden now.
Good evening. I have no additional comment on this bill, but I am available for questions if there are any.
Alderman Hutchinson, do you have? Oh. Well, is there an update? Because with the recent flooding, did you make a comment about the fence?
So in the recent flooding, this fence that is being replaced was impacted. Staff were able to make that fence work for the remainder of this season ending July 1st. But if I can just impress upon you all that the importance of this fence is probably greater now, it's in rough shape. And so I was down there tonight, ball games were happening, and baseball was happening. But for the kiddos who play next summer, I think we certainly, as a Parks Department, would love to see an investment in that field. Come.
Any questions for Director Hayden? Okay. I'm not seeing any. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
I move that we adopt Bill 3667 as ordinance 25-048.
Second.
To be 47.
It'd be 47,
47.
47.
because that one didn't, yes. Okay, and that was second by,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, the motion is that we adopt bill number 367 to become ordinance 25-047. That motion was made by Alderman Hutchinson, second by Alderman Metcalf. Roll call, please.
Alderman Aiken.
Aye.
Alderman Campbell is absent. Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson.
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes, motion carries.
Okay, we'll draw attention to our last second reading bill tonight. That's bill number 3668. Yes.
Your Honor, I move that we place Bill 3668 on second reading by title only.
Second.
Okay. The motion is to place bill number 3668 on a second reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Metcalf. All in favor, vote on the motion to discuss bill 3668, do so by show of hands. And it does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, authorizing the city to enter into a contract with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley Incorporated for engineering design services.
And we'll welcome back Director Parson.
Yes, I am happy to answer any questions regarding this contract. We're excited to get this project going and under design.
Yes, Alderman Aiken.
Oh.
Oh,
Still on.
okay.
It's in my motion.
Okay.
Getting tired.
Okay. Any questions regarding the design for this road? Okay. I'm not seeing any from anybody. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we adopt Bill 3668 as ordinance number 25-049.
That'd be 8.
Second.
Okay.
048?
Yes.
Okay, Jean-Ann.
That's fine.
Second.
Threw me off.
Okay. Actually, she was here. Okay. The bill is that we adopt bill number 3668 to become ordinance 25-048. That was made by Alderman Aiken. It was seconded by Alderman Hutchinson. Roll call, please.
Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf.
Aye.
Alderman Aiken.
Aye.
Alderman Campbell is absent. Alderman Hutchinson.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes, motion carries.
Okay. City Administrator, you got an update for us, sir?
Alderman Snyder has asked that I provide a really long presentation tonight, so I'm going to do my best, sir. I just want to thank the board for your work tonight on this agenda and for future agendas going forward. I think that's really good work, and staff really appreciates you placing a tremendous amount of confidence in us to bring you items and documents at future agendas, and we will be doing our best to be very efficient with that work. I have 3 commercials to give you. One is tomorrow. Hayden is very excited because I believe he's kicking off the parks master planning process. The board approved that process, and we're very excited, and they're beginning their work. There will be several weeks, months of activity and work and engagement of our community to help us plan and design our future park system. Secondly, on June 13th, this is a commercial for the Christian County Museum and Historical Society. They are having a fundraiser at the museum. So if you go to their website and check it out, you can buy tickets and you can go to that event. Mayor, do you know what time that event starts? Is it 7 o'clock?
Last year was 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it's the same time.
But that is June 13th, and I'll put in a plug for the Historic River District. They will have a very big event on June 14th called Cruisin' the Square, noon to 4. It'll be an all-day event on Saturday, the 14th. You won't want to miss it. Pie tasting competition, car cruising, and live music. What else could you want on a Saturday afternoon?
Then 5 o'clock is the concert.
Correct, sir.
Car shows from 9, it's noon to 4.
Noon to 4
And
is
then
the
the
car show.
concert at 5.
Right. And that is all I have here, sir.
Any from the board comments? Okay. Not seeing any. We are going to need to go into a closed session for a few minutes. So is there a motion? It's a personnel issue. Okay.
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion that we go in closed session regarding personnel issue motion was made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Metcalf. Roll call, please.
Alderman Aiken.
Aye.
Alderman Campbell is absent. Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson.
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf.
Aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes. Motion carries.
Okay, let's move to the
Motion adjourned.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion's to adjourn by Alderman Snyder, so Alderman Galloway, all in favor, do so with show of hands. It carries.
So this
Indeed it will.
come back for approval at the next meeting.